So let me ask you a question. How many of your major goals, maybe your biggest dreams, have you put off recently? And what was the excuse? I'm willing to bet it was something like, I just don't have enough time. To be honest, we all feel it. That constant sense of being busy, just rushing from one thing to the next, thinking we're, grinding our way to success. But what if? What if that feeling of constant motion is just a mask? What if we're actually squandering the most valuable thing we have? What if the time we're so desperate for it is just slipping right through our fingers minute by minute and we'll never get it back? Today, we are diving deep into the secrets of people who do extraordinary things with the exact same 24 hours as everyone else. And we're not talking about complicated life hacks. We're talking about a whole philosophical shift, how they master their focus, how they redefine productivity, and really how they treat time as their single most essential asset. Our source for this deep dive is Thibaut Meurisse's really powerful book, Master Your Time, a practical guide to increase your productivity and use your time meaningfully. Now, Thibaut is a personal development author. He's the founder of whatispersonaldevelopment.org, and his background is fascinating. He's French, he writes in English, and he lived in Japan for almost a decade, a place that's known for its incredible focus on discipline. So that combination of cultures gives him this really unique perspective on living intentionally. His whole mission is about helping people realize their potential, and this book is basically a call to action, a call to reflect on how you spend your time to avoid regret later. So if you're ready to stop letting your days just run away from you, and you want to start building the life you actually want, make sure you're subscribed to the Audible Books channel. You won't want to miss any of our deep dives into the world's best books.
Absolutely. And we have to start where Meurisse does. Because before you can optimize a single minute, you have to get your head around the foundational truth of what time even is. So let's unpack that. So the book just dives right in with something that should be obvious, but we just don't act like it's true. Time is, without a doubt, the scarcest resource on Earth. We all get 24 hours. That part's the great equalizer. But unlike money or ideas or anything else, really, you can't make more of it. You can't work harder to produce more time.
That is the terrifying reality of it, isn't it? It's just finite. And every single second you spend on something unproductive, something that doesn't have meaning for you, it's just gone. It's the ultimate non-refundable purchase. If you lose $1 million, you could theoretically earn it back. You lose a year, that year is gone forever.
And that leads directly to what Meurisse calls the cost of choice. Every single decision you make is, at the same time, a rejection of everything else you could have been doing. So when you choose to spend, say, 4 hours watching TV or scrolling through social media, you're not just filling time. You are actively saying no.
A no to what, though?
A no to that big work project, a no to getting in shape, a no to learning that skill you've been talking about, or, and this is a big one, a no to spending truly present quality time with people you love.
When you stretch that out over a lifetime, the cost of all those little no's, it's just staggering. It's what makes his concept of being time-rich so brilliant. He says that just 5 years ago, he was actually wealthier than Warren Buffett.
It's such a great way to frame it. I mean, Buffett has all the money in the world, right?
Right.
And he cannot buy back yesterday. He can't buy back a decade. But Meurisse, even when he was maybe struggling financially, he still had decades of time ahead of him. That's an asset the richest man in the world just can't buy.
It really forces you to shift your perspective. If you looked at your remaining time not as this endless river, but like a stack of non-refundable cash, would you treat it so casually?
Exactly. So the takeaway right from the start is you have to stop acting like your time is infinite. Stop thinking, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you truly felt the value of those seconds ticking away, really felt the cost of your choices, you'd structure your days in a radically different way.
And that realization is the key that unlocks the next big idea, which is totally redefining what productivity even means. Section 1.2 is so important because he just throws out the standard definition, the big optimized to-do list.
Right. He doesn't see it that way at all. For him, productivity is, and I'm quoting here, doing the things we enjoy or find meaningful while being around people we care about.
I love that definition. It's all about long-term fulfillment, not just, checking off boxes on a list.
Exactly. It connects what you produce directly to meaning. And look, you don't have to enjoy every single task. We all have boring admin stuff to do. But that boring task has to fit into a bigger, more meaningful picture. And surprisingly, he says meaning often comes from commitment, not from total freedom.
That's a really important point. like a challenging job, right?
Right.
It might be stressful, you might work long hours, but if that work provides for your family or it's contributing to some goal you believe in, that commitment gives it meaning. It justifies the effort.
And you can't forget the human element. He talks about this relationship audit, which is, it's a very sobering idea. All this research on the biggest regrets of people at the end of their lives, it almost always points to one thing.
Not staying in touch with friends.
Exactly. They regret not staying in touch with friends and family. So spending time with your loved ones, and I mean being fully present with them, that isn't an interruption. That is profoundly productive time. It adds directly to that meaning metric.
Which brings us to the ultimate metric then. If your life is going to be judged on whether it was meaningful, not on your bank account, then the question you ask yourself every day has to change.
Yeah, the author says you should be asking yourself, what meaningful things do I need to work on today, this week, or this year to obtain the approval of my future self?
Oof. The approval of my future self.
That's powerful.
It's a filter, right? It stops you from just reacting to whatever's thrown at you and pushes you to actively create the life that your future self will be proud of.
Okay, so if we accept that time is finite and productivity is about meaning, the next step in the book is that time management is actually second to something else.
Energy management. It's the idea that not all time is created equal.
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Think about your own day. An hour in the morning when you're fresh, your mind is sharp. That hour can easily be worth 2 or 3 times an hour in the evening when you're totally wiped out.
So it's not about the clock. It's about how much energy you have and how intensely you can focus it. And intensity is the multiplier we always forget. You can sit at your desk for an hour, but if you're checking your phone every 5 minutes, that hour wasn't really an hour of work. It was maybe, 15, 20 minutes of real focus?
Right. Undivided focus is the key.
So to manage this, Meurisse gives us this framework called the energy cycle. And you have to see it as a whole system. If one part breaks, the whole thing just grinds to a halt. So phase 1 is protect energy. This is the foundation. You have to be ruthless about defending your energy.
So we're talking about the basics, sleep, diet, exercise.
The absolute fundamentals. If you fail here, you're starting the day with half a tank of gas. It's the simplest rule, but the one we ignore the most. We try to use an app to be more productive when we haven't slept properly in a week. We all are. Okay, phase 2. Channel energy. If you have all this energy but no direction, it just fizzles out into busy work. This is where you need a clear vision, a strategy, so the energy you use today is actually moving you toward your goals. Then phase 3, allocate energy. You can't do everything. This is the 80-20 rule. You have to figure out the 20% of activities that will get you 80% of your results and pour your limited energy into those.
Okay, so protect, channel, allocate. Now you actually have to do the work.
That's phase 4, invest energy. This is execution. Once you know what your key tasks are, you invest your full undivided attention into them. No leaks, no distractions.
And then you have to recharge.
Phase 5, refill energy. This is where a lot of high achievers burn out. You have to take intentional breaks, not just scrolling on your phone, but truly disconnecting to let your mind recover. And finally, phase 6 is just restart. You finish the cycle, you learn from the day, and you start it all over again, trying to be a little bit better each time.
It's a loop. And that system leads right into his 5 levels of productivity. Like a ladder. You have to master the bottom run before you can climb up.
And he's very clear that almost everyone messes up on level 1. Level 1 is focus. Just focus. It's about eliminating distractions and being able to concentrate. He says if you can't focus for 45 minutes straight, none of the other stuff matters. It has to be your top priority.
And once you have focus, you move to level 2, which is energy. So you build on that focus by getting your health in order, sleep, food, exercise, so you can focus for longer.
Then level 3 is vision, the long-term strategy, making sure your daily actions are actually aligned with where you want to go in life. But he's very practical about it. He says getting level 1 right is more important in the short term than perfecting your 10-year plan.
I like that. You can't execute a plan if you can't execute, period.
Right. Then level 4 is planning. This is where you optimize your daily systems, your scheduling, all the organizational stuff. And then, and this one surprises people, level 5 is social life.
And a productivity book.
Yeah. He argues that building meaningful relationships is essential for high performance over the long haul. He tells this amazing story. When he was living with his parents, he wrote 7 books in a year.
7. Wow.
7? Then he moved out, lived alone, thought he'd be hyper-productive with no distractions, and he only wrote 3.
That's incredible. It totally goes against that whole lone wolf hustle culture idea.
It does. It suggests we're not machines. Real social connection prevents burnout. It's an investment in your mental resilience, not a waste of time.
Okay, so if we know time is valuable, if we know we need balance, why do we constantly tell ourselves the same lie?
Yeah.
Let's get into the biggest psychological trap from section 2.1, the whole "I don't have time" myth.
Oh, it's a cultural sickness, it's obsession with being busy. And Maurice breaks down exactly why we cling to that excuse. First, it's an effective excuse. It lets you off the hook. You don't have to take responsibility for making hard choices.
Second, it makes you a victim. Oh, poor me, I'm so busy. It gets you sympathy, and everyone else says it too, so it feels normal.
Third, and this is the big one for me, it just shows you don't have a compelling enough goal. I don't have time to work out is a much nicer way of saying working out isn't important enough for me to make time for it right now.
And fourth, being busy is like a status symbol in some circles,
Yeah.
right? It means you're in demand, you're important, even if you're just spinning your wheels on low-value stuff.
And the stats he uses are they're a huge reality check. The average person spends something like 14 years of their life watching TV or on screens. That's 21 years if you don't count sleeping.
21 years.
The time is there. We're just misallocating it on a massive scale.
So the mental shift you have to make is simple, but it requires some brutal honesty. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I don't have time," you have to stop and reframe it. I am choosing not to make time for this because it's not a priority for me right now.
That reframe is everything. It puts you back in the driver's seat. You're no longer a victim of your schedule. You're the one making the choices.
And that framework of choice is exactly what you need to tackle the #1 productivity killer, procrastination. The book breaks it down into 8 specific causes. It's not about laziness. It's about these mental roadblocks.
Yeah, let's walk through them because you can't fix the behavior if you don't know the root cause. First one is just a lack of clarity. If you don't really know why you're doing something or what the final result should look like or how to even start, your brain just freezes. A vague goal like get healthy is totally overwhelming.
So the solution is to get specific, write down the exact goal, talk to someone who's done it before, and get really clear on your why. Why do you want this? Specificity makes it easier to start.
Exactly. The second cause is what he calls insufficient awareness, but it's really the motivation myth. It's this idea that we have to wait until we feel like doing something.
Which is completely backwards. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You just have to act based on what's necessary, not based on how you feel in the moment.
And part of that is the future self myth. We put things off thinking, oh, future me will have more energy or be more disciplined. But future you is only better if present you does the hard work.
Right. You're just being disrespectful to the only self that actually exists, which is you, right now.
Third cause, poor focus and overstimulation. Our world is basically designed to make us addicts. Our phones, social media, it's a constant drip of easy dopamine.
And deep, difficult work just can't compete with that. Your brain is conditioned to want the easy hit, so starting something hard feels, well, it feels impossible sometimes.
The fourth cause is a big one. It's fear and inadequacy. It's not that you're lazy, it's that you're afraid of failing, or afraid of what people will think, or just worried it won't be good enough.
He gives examples of really famous people who feel this, right?
Oh yeah, people like Jodie Foster and Meryl Streep, they talk about feeling like frauds, like they're not good enough, even at the peak of their careers. So the feeling is normal. The solution isn't to get rid of the fear, it's to act anyway.
You adopt a learner's mindset. You take pride in just doing the reps.
Exactly. Okay, cause 5, lack of urgency. This is Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time you give it. If there's no deadline, it'll take forever.
So you have to create your own urgency. Set hard deadlines. Tell someone you're going to do it so you're accountable. Break huge projects into tiny little milestones with their own deadlines.
Cause 6 is a lack of effective routines. We think we want total freedom, but freedom without any structure is a trap. You just end up drifting.
So routines are the structure. Even simple things like having a specific ritual before you start work can build momentum that carries you through the hard parts.
Cause 7 is about your environment. Unnecessary friction. Our brains are wired to take the path of least resistance. So you have to design your environment to make the right things easy and the wrong things hard.
So add friction to bad habits, like using an app to block distracting websites.
And remove friction from good habits. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Have the file you need to work on open and ready on your computer before you even sit down.
And the last one, number 8, is mental overload, those open loops.
That feeling of being totally overwhelmed, it's usually because you have too many unfinished things rattling around in your head. Unanswered emails, half-baked ideas, projects you've
Your
started.
brain just shuts down.
It does. The solution is to get it all out. Write everything down on a list. Once it's on paper, it's out of your head. Then you can either start with the easiest thing to get a quick win or tackle the one big thing to get the biggest sense of relief.
All right, let's move into part 3. This is about a more advanced way of looking at time, using the past, future, and present in a very deliberate way. And the core idea is that the present is the only thing that's actually real.
Right. But how you use the past and the future totally determines how effective you are in the present. For example, we misuse the past when we just dwell on guilt or regret. You're wasting energy on something you can't change.
So instead, the past should be a resource. You look at it for lessons, not to beat yourself up.
Exactly. Ask, what did I learn from that? Not, why did this happen to me? It's about self-compassion, knowing you did the best you could with what you knew at the time.
And we misuse the future when we just worry all the time about things that probably won't even happen.
The productive way to use the future is for planning and visualization. You plan so you know what you need to do today to get where you want to go.
And you visualize so you can get excited about the outcome, which brings that positive emotion into the present to fuel the hard work.
Which brings it all back to the present. The present is where everything happens. Growth, joy, connection, all of it. Meurisse has this concept of each day being a micro-life. If you have a terrible reactive day, you just lived a terrible micro-life.
And he asked that tough question. If you keep living today over and over again, will you end up where you want to be in 5 years?
To make that micro-life better, he suggests checking your activities against a list of criteria. Is this meaningful? Is it enjoyable? Challenging? Memorable? Does it make me feel good about myself? Is it effective? Is it healthy?
And if it's not enjoyable, it better be meaningful or effective.
You got it. And there are specific habits to help you do this. One is gratitude.
Just being grateful for what you have right now.
It's an antidote to that constant feeling that you don't have enough. Studies have shown that just keeping a gratitude journal can measurably reduce stress. It grounds you in the present.
Another habit is planning. Just planning your day is a sign that you value your time. It's you being the CEO of your day before someone else comes along and gives you their agenda.
And then there's that fascinating paradox we mentioned before, slowing down time.
You can't actually change the clock, but you can change how you perceive it.
By relaxing your mind. Meditation, deep breathing, even just moving more deliberately. It makes you feel more in control.
Tell me more about that musician example. How does moving slowly actually save time? That seems so counterintuitive.
It does, but it's a brilliant insight. So this musician had a super busy day, and he decided to try just deliberately working slowly. By moving with intention, by focusing purely on the task at hand without any frantic energy, he ended up cutting 40% off the time it usually took.
40%.
40%. And he felt less stressed. Because speed, when it comes to deep work, doesn't come from rushing. It comes from perfect, uninterrupted execution. When you're slow and deliberate, you make fewer mistakes, so you don't have to waste time fixing them.
That is a profound idea. Intentional slowness creates speed. That leads us perfectly into the next section on the compound effect.
This is all about the long term. He says the ability to think years into the future and let that vision guide your tiny decisions today is maybe the single biggest predictor of success.
The problem is our brains just don't think that way naturally. We think in straight lines. We underestimate how small daily actions can compound into something massive over time.
Yeah, our brain thinks if you do a little today, you get a little tomorrow. But the results are exponential. It's not the huge heroic effort you make once a year that changes your life. It's the small, boring thing you do every single day.
He gives some great examples of this.
They're so powerful. Writing just 500 words a day doesn't feel like much. But over 40 years, that's enough to write 200 books.
Wow.
Or learning 5 new foreign words a day. That gets you to fluency in 5 years. Walking 2 miles a day for 40 years means you've walked the entire circumference of the earth.
It makes today's action feel so much more meaningful. Those 500 words aren't just a chore. They're an investment in that future library of 200 books.
And this connects directly to finance. Section 3.3 is all about time as a financial asset.
Right, he defines money as stored time and energy.
If you accumulate money, you can use it to buy back your time later. You can retire early, change careers, hire someone to do the tasks you hate.
So saving and investing isn't just a financial strategy, it's a productivity strategy. It buys you freedom.
And debt is the opposite. Debt is a claim on your future time. You're forced to spend your precious hours working to pay someone else back.
I could see how that works in theory, but for someone living paycheck to paycheck, telling him to save for 30 years might feel a little out of touch.
That's a fair point. And he's not saying you should ignore your immediate needs. He's talking about how you think about your discretionary spending, the opportunity cost. Every time you buy something you don't truly need, you're giving away the time it took to earn that money. He uses the example of a $30,000 car loan.
Yeah, break down the math on that. It's a real eye-opener.
Okay, so say you have a $417 a month car payment. That's $417 you can't invest. But if, instead of buying the fancy car, you invested that $417 every month for 30 years at a pretty standard 7% return, that would grow to over $206,000.
Whoa.
So the true cost of that car isn't $30,000. It's the car plus the $206,000 of future freedom you gave up. It forces you to ask, is this purchase worth $250,000 of my future?
That's a heavy question. The big takeaway is you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. So you have to use your money to buy back your time.
Okay, so now we get to part 4, which is all about leverage, working smarter. And it starts with the mastery mindset.
This is the opposite of shiny object syndrome, right? The difference between people who dabble in everything and masters who focus on one thing until they get real results.
Exactly. And to become a master, you have to follow these pillars. The first is repetition, just practicing until the skill is automatic, like Michael Phelps swimming every single day for years. The second is fundamentals, always going back to the basics, like Tiger Woods completely rebuilding his swing. You have to follow a structured program and not get distracted by a million different sources of information.
Third is faith in the process. You have to trust that the system will work if you stick with it, even when it's hard.
Fourth is a willingness to learn, being humble and coachable. Ego is the enemy of progress.
And the last two are long-term thinking and consistency, which we've talked about.
Right.
Just hitting the same spot on the tree over and over until it falls.
And the engine that drives all of this is deliberate practice. This isn't just mindlessly going through the motions. It has to be intentional, just outside your comfort zone, super focused, and you need feedback.
He uses Benjamin Franklin as the main example here, right?
And it's a perfect example. Franklin knew his writing wasn't very good, so he didn't just write more. He took articles he admired, he'd read them, jot down the main ideas, and then try to rewrite the whole article from his notes.
Then he'd compare his version to the original.
Word for word, to see what he missed, what vocabulary they used, how they structured their arguments. That's deliberate practice. It's targeted, it's difficult, and it provides instant feedback.
That level of intention needs to apply to our daily tasks too. Which brings us to the 7-step task approach. This is about making sure you're working on the right thing in the first place.
Right. So before you start any big task, you run it through this sequence. Step 1, prioritize. Is this the single most important thing I could be doing right now? Step 2, assess validity. Does this even need to be done? Can I just eliminate it? Saying no is a high-level productivity skill.
Step 3 is clarify. What does done actually look like? Be super specific.
Step 4, delegate. Is this the best use of my time, or can someone else do it? Use your money to buy back your time by outsourcing. Step 5, find the most effective way. Don't just jump in. Is there a template, a piece of software, a process someone has already figured out?
Step 6 is batching. Grouping similar tasks together, like answering all your emails at once, to avoid the cost of switching your brain back and forth.
And step 7, automate or systemize. Create a checklist. Use a tool to connect your apps. Anything to reduce the mental energy needed to do it next time.
This all leads to the operational superpower of the whole book, developing extraordinary focus. He says it's like adding 20 IQ points. Why such a big claim?
Because focus stops all the energy leaks. When you are totally locked in, you can enter a flow state, that mental zone where you're so immersed that time just disappears and the work itself feels rewarding.
But flow is so hard to achieve now. I saw some research that said the average office worker gets interrupted every 11 minutes.
It's brutal, and it takes about 20 minutes to get back to the same level of focus after an interruption. That recovery time is the hidden killer of productivity.
Multitasking is a myth. It just makes you worse at everything.
So we have to intentionally force focus. He gives 4 strategies. First, read more. Real reading, not scrolling. It's like weightlifting for your concentration muscles. Second, and I love this one, allow boredom. Stop filling every empty second with your phone. When you lower your baseline level of stimulation, doing hard, meaningful work actually starts to feel more appealing. It becomes the source of your dopamine hit.
Third is fixed schedule productivity. You set a hard stop time for your workday. No matter what, you're done at 5.3.
It creates scarcity. You know you only have a limited amount of time, so you don't waste it. You become ruthless about prioritizing what actually matters. And fourth is batching your distractions. Handle all your email, all your social media in 1 or 2 specific blocks of time so they don't bleed into the rest of your day.
Okay, let's tie this all together with that mental model he provides. The CEO employee framework. It's such a great way to stop overthinking things.
It is. You basically separate your brain into 3 different roles, and they each have a distinct job.
The CEO's job is strategy. The CEO decides what's important for the day, what the big picture is, and makes sure the employee is crystal clear on what to do and why. That happens the night before or first thing in the morning.
Then you have the COO. The COO's job is to optimize the systems. They look for bottlenecks, they find better tools, they suggest better ways of working, they're focused on efficiency, but they don't get involved in the actual work.
And then there's the employee. The employee's job is just one thing: ruthless execution.
That's it. The employee trusts the CEO's plan and the COO's systems and just does the work. No second guessing, no waiting to feel motivated. So if the employee sits down to work on the big project the CEO assigned and suddenly thinks, maybe I should check my email first, the framework stops them. That's not the employee's decision to make. The CEO already set the priority. So you just do the work.
It takes all the decision fatigue out of the moment of execution. But even the best employee needs protection. Let's finish with the distraction matrix, a way to identify what's killing our focus.
Right. There are 4 main types of distraction. Type 1 is being dragged. You start doing something legitimate, like looking up one fact online, and an hour later you're deep down a YouTube rabbit hole. Type 2 is being interrupted. These are the notifications, the coworker stopping by your desk. They might be quick, but each one forces that 20-minute focus reset.
Type 3 is being seduced. This is when you avoid the hard, important work by doing easy, low-value tasks instead. It makes you feel busy and productive, but you're not actually moving the needle on your real goals.
And type 4 is being fooled. This is the trap of always looking for the next productivity hack, the magic pill. You spend all your time learning about being productive instead of just doing the work.
The key is self-awareness. You have to identify your personal kryptonite, the one distraction that gets you every time, and build a system to defend yourself against it. You have to protect your focus like it's your most valuable possession. Hashtag Outreon.
So we've really covered a complete framework here. And the core message from Meurisse is that time mastery isn't about complexity. It's not about the latest app. It's about consistency, it's about meaning, and it's about a relentless, undivided focus on what truly matters.
The goal is to consciously shift your limited time away from all the meaningless stuff and toward the goals that your future self will thank you for. It's about choosing to thrive, not just survive. And the final provocative thought I want to leave you with, right from the heart of this book, is this. The most profound choice you make, every minute of every day, is whether what you're doing is meaningful, enjoyable, and moving you towards your goals, or whether it's devoid of meaning, boring, and moving you further away. That's it. That's the metric.
That time is going to pass anyway. The next 5 years, the next 30 years, they're coming, whether you're ready for them or not. The only question is, how are you going to invest your irreplaceable seconds, starting right now, to build the future you actually want? Make every moment count.